Hello everyone. In your adventure working with data, now it is time for you to get connected to a database and see how database management systems can be applicable for us to be able to connect to databases and sort of pull out some of the data that we want as business analysts or data analysts. So in this video, what we're going to do is we are going to get introduced to a free source software or database management system named SQLite and connect to a sample database and do some very simple queries and see how doing queries and connecting to a database is very simple, and it can just be done by many means actually. But in this video, we're going to go with the free source one, which is SQLite. Microsoft, Oracle, they all have their own database management systems. But for the sake of being able to access these type of analysis, we're just going to feature the free source softwares in this course. So first thing we will do here, we're going to see how we can get access to this open source software SQLite. So very simple. All you need to do first is to open your Google and just type in SQLite. Once you do that, the homepage for SQLite will appear. So once you click on that, there's some information here, but where you want to go to the download. You want to get the latest version. And if you scroll down here, you will see the link for downloading based on your operating system, whether it's Mac, Windows, 32-bit, 64-bit. You go ahead and download that, and then that's just going to be the way you get SQLite. And like I said, it's a free source, open source software database management system that we're going to use to sort of get started with doing some core SQL. So the database that we're going to be using is a customer database. This is the database is also also from your textbook. This is the same database that your textbook used in one of the chapters that were assigned for you as a reading before watching this video. And that's this database. This database is very simple database. It has three tables. It has customers, sales, and products. And of course, the table customers, by using the primary key customer ID, is connected to sales. What that means is every time you have a sale, and the nature of that sale, you need to have a customer. So instead of typing in all of the information about customer, what you do, you say, okay, this customer, based on this customer ID, which is a unique value, did this purchase. And then also the primary key of the table products is the foreign key in the table sales, because for you to have a sale, another thing you need is a product. So you need to have a customer and have a product. Instead of typing everything in this table cell, you sort of use the primary keys to bring all those information in your cell. So that's the very simple database we're going to be using, and the database comes as a file .db, the extension db file. And by using the software SQLite, once you manage to download it, you can simply add a database. You can say add a database here, and then find the file that I will be sharing with you, customer sales db. And once you click on this, it sort of adds that database here. And if you click on this, and then you will see the table sales, product, and customers that we saw as a part of the UML in the database. You could be using the features of this software by, for example, saying, okay, let me generate a query. Select query, and it generates that query for you, and then you run it, and this is the result that we will be getting. But let's go one by one and understand different features of a query and see how we can use the query to pull the part of the data that we need. Okay, so there are four major functions when it comes to writing a query. You have select, insert, update, and delete. Insert is when you want to insert a new row into your database. It's most of the time at the level when the data is being actually collected in the database. Update is if you need to update one part of your data that is already there, so you want to change the number. And delete is when you want to delete a row from one of your tables. What we will be focusing on as data analysts is basically going to be that part of selecting. So because most of the time we are not the one who design a database or program for deleting, updating, and inserting a database, but what we will do, we want some of the data already in the database for our analysis. So we are going to mostly focus on the select part. So basically select is, as the name suggests, you want to select some part of the data and use it for, gather it for your further analysis. And the syntax is very simple. So basically you say, I want to select a couple of columns from a table. So if, for example, you can say, I want to select sale ID, sale date, and description from the table TBR sales. Or, for example, here, we want to select first name, last name, and city from table customers. So that's very simple select. Before we try this out in SQLite, let me show you the version of this Word document that I will be sharing with you. So this is the version of the Word document that I will be sharing with you. And if you scroll down, you will see that there are empty spots that I've already filled them out. So I want you to, as we go through this video, stop the video, fill this up yourself, and sort of like create this file for your future references if you needed to come back and remember what we did, what type of select we did, and you needed to reference back to it. Also, it's a great practice to do that. So open this file in another Windows and stop the video whenever we finish a query and do it yourself for practice and learn. Alright, so this is the first query we want to try. So basically we want to select first name and last name and city from table customers. So if you go up here, table customers, it has first name, last name, and the city. So these are the columns of that table that we want to see. So we come to SQLite, and I have all of the queries here written for the sake of simplicity, and so sort of makes it easier for me. But all you need to do when you want to run a part of the command in SQLite, you have to select that part. Once you do that, now it says, okay, let me run this. So if I do that, it's just gonna run or process the selected part. So now I can see that in my table customers, I have 5 customers, either their first name, last name, and their city. So another things that it's important to know that when you use select star, basically when you say select star, it means I want all of the columns in the table customer to be shown. So if this is our UML of our database, I want all of these columns to be shown. So if I say select star table customers, all of those columns will be presented. First name, address, city, state, zip code, phone, email. So next thing we will learn here is how you can comment out some part of what you've written in the command line for SQL. If you want to use one line comment like these, Q1 and Q2, so sort of like organizing the way that we are using that space, you use --, sort of like it comments that out. But if you want have multi-line comment, whatever comes between slash star and star slash is going to be commented out. Mostly we are going to be using dash dash in this video, as we have been using in the first two queries. Function distinct. Distinct is when you want to only look at the specific or unique values of one column. If you remember, in pandas we had the function dot unique. Distinct is sort of like the unique function of SQL. So the way you go about this, you say I want the distinct column or combination of columns. So for example here, if we compare these two, one time get the distinct state and one time don't get distinct state, and see how this changes these values. So let me run this first time by the distinct. So basically I want the distinct state. We have Florida, New Jersey, Texas, and Philadelphia. And if I don't have distinct, now because New Jersey is repeated in our data, in our customers, it's been also shown twice. So once I say distinct, it makes sure that only the distinct values are shown. So there is no repetition here. Another thing that we will learn here is how we do conditionals in SQL. So the way you go about conditionals in programming is if. In SQL is where. Basically you say where and you sort of specify your condition. Basically you say I want to select where these conditions are met. So for example here I want to select customers that are from New Jersey. I use where and I say state equal to New Jersey. So there are a couple of different ways you could word this. You could say state is New Jersey or state equal to New Jersey, and both will work. So let's go ahead and do it here. So if I run this, the customer's first name and last name from New Jersey is shown. But if I run this, there it's going to be the same result. Again, the same result. We could also have more complicated conditions here by and or not operators. So for example, of course you all know what and or and not are. And is making sure that both conditions are true, and then or is if one of the conditions, at least one of the conditions is true, it's going to be true, and not negates whatever conditioning that you had there. So for example here I want for the state to be New Jersey, and also I want the last name to be winner. So once I run this, I will only get this customer instead of both of them, because I am making the conditionals a little bit more complicated. So I get only that one. We can also sort the output. So as we had in pandas sort values, or in NumPy sort functions, here we use order by. And basically we say we want to order the output that we are getting, the select we are getting from the data, by specific columns. And we also say if we want it ascendingly or descendingly. So this is ascending or descending. So for example here, I want my customers to be ordered by the city. So let's go and give it a try. Customer ordered by the city. Now this is all of our customers, and the city ordered by their alphabetical order D, E, M, and P. We could also have multi combination of sorts. So basically we first order by city descendingly and then by customer ID ascendingly. Let's go ahead and see how it looks. So here it's going to order city by descendingly and customer ID ascendingly. So it's descending. Now it's start from the Z to A, so P, M, E, and then since these are the same, both are D or the same city, now we'll look at the customer ID, which is this one. We see now it's ascendingly 2, 3. So that's how the function, the order by works. So let's look at an example here. List the last name and address of customers who are from Texas and New Jersey. Give it a try before continuing to watch. So all you need to do is to create a conditional by saying Texas or New Jersey. Or you could also do it in a different way. You could say state in a collection of items, which is only 2 here. So either of these two is going to work. So let's go ahead and give it a try. So for example, example 1, New Jersey and Texas. And if you had written the other way, it would have also worked. Let's get another example. Find the one customer and list their name, address, and the city which has purchased a product on this date. Give it a try before continuing to watch this video. So all you need to do is have a conditional, but your conditional is sort of working from a select. So here, let's take a look at it here. So you have a select here that makes sure that brings in the all of the customer ID that have had a sale date on this date, and then using that, so this is your collections. So using that, you want to come up with the customers that their customer ID is in that date. So that's how you can run this query. Why am I doing it this way? Because the sale are a separate table. The sale is a separate table, and then my customer name and last name is in a separate table. So from here, I find what customer ID or customer IDs are associated with a specific sale, and then I use customer ID to find that customer of mine. And in the future or further down this video, we'll see I could also have this done by using joining these two tables. It would also be a possibility to do it that way. SQL also have aggregate function. So you have minimum, maximum, average, sum, count. And basically, once you use aggregate function, it's going to give you only one value because it's a function that calculates numbers for you. So for example, here I am counting, or I am calculating the maximum sale amount. What was the maximum sale amount? And I can, once I run this, I will see the maximum sale amount was 500. Or I could count the number of customers who are from Texas and New Jersey. And we saw them, there were 3 of them. But we don't have to do that. We can also actually get SQL to count it for us, and it will report that number for us. As I said, there is a very important function in SQL, that's joining. Joining is when the data that you need is not just in one table. It's within more than one table. So for you to be able to get those outputs, you need to join these tables before requesting what data you need. And there are 4 types of joins: inner join, left join, right join, and full join. And this picture says it all about these different types of joins. Inner joins get what is common between both of the tables. Left join makes sure that all of the values from the left table are included. Right join makes sure that all of the right values are included, and also what's common between the two. Fuller join brings everything. Most of the time, what we need is inner join in our adventures, in data analytics adventures. So the syntax is like this. So once you have select, instead of in your from to have one table, you have this new syntax. You have table 1, inner join table 2 on what? Most of the time you have to, all the time, you specify your primary key of one table and foreign key of another table. So let's look at this example here. So for example, let's say we want to join sales and customers. So we say table TBL underline customers join or inner join TBL underline sales on TBL.customers TBL underline customers dot customer ID equal TBL underline sales dot customer ID. So we are joining these 2 tables using the primary key and the foreign key. Let's look at an example. So here we want to get all of the join possibility between sales and customers, and we are doing it based on customer ID as I talked about it. So let's run this and let's see what we will get. Now I have not only the data of customers, zip code, phone, email, I also have the data for the sales. Now these values are both of the information from both tables are being shown here. Let's do another example. Let's the last name and address of customer that their sales have ever purchased through the internet. For you to be able to do this, you need to know something about the table sales. So let's go ahead and see. So if I were to do a select on table sales, only table sales. So let me add it here. I don't want no inner join, I want only table sales. So I run this, and on the description you have either purchase from store, phone purchase, or internet purchase. So now on the description you have this information available. So now let's go back and look at the example one more time. List the last name and address of customer that their sales have ever been purchased through the internet. Give it a try before continuing to watch this video. It's a very simple query. So first of all, you need to create that inner join. Let me actually go here and go on here. So you need to create that inner join, right? Customers and sales. And once you have this inner join, the problem says last name and address of customers, and you want the first name, last name, and address line 1. And you want it distinct because you don't want if there might be some customers that have done more than one time purchase, or more than one time internet purchase. But what we need is the name of these customers. We don't want the repetition. So I have the distinct here. And then I use the conditional description, internet purchase. So once I run this, I will see these are the customers that have done internet purchase in my records. Let's take another example. Write a query that lists all of the customers who have ever purchased shoe shine. It's a product name. So give this a try before continuing to watch this video. What's tricky about this query is the fact that to be able to get the customer's name that have had shoe product or like shine shoe, you will need to connect more than 2 tables. You need information from table customers and table products, but what's connecting these 2 tables is table sales. So basically you have to make your way from customers to products by inner joining. So you can join these 3 tables and then sort of like use SQL to sort of like gather that part of data that you need. So let's see how it's done. Of course, these are our inner joins. So we are doing the inner joins for 3 tables. And then once we have all those information, now I say first name, last name, and address line from this in join of tables, and then I use the conditional shoe shine. And once I run this, these are the customers that have ever bought